And we are live. Welcome to your Wednesday night Wrestling Inc. podcast. I am your host, Alfred Konuwa, and I'm joined by two of the OGs of the Wrestling Inc. podcast. First, of course, our returning champion. This is the man who's done it all. I mean, he's bodybuilding, politics, you name it. He's done it, and he's gone there. Matt Morgan, what's up, man?
What's up, you guys?
And of course, sitting in for Raj tonight, he's gotten the second dose, so he's taking the night off, well deserved. Of course, our second returning champion, Issa. What's going on, Issa?
Not much. Excited to be covering Wednesdays for once.
Wait, hang on. He got his second dose of what?
Oh, you got a second dose of the Moderna shot. I don't know if I should be saying that, but yeah, that's what Raj is
so
taking.
So he can't do the podcast because of that?
Yeah, I hear that second dose is lethal for some people. Some people react to it different than others.
Yeah.
And, we're holding it down for Raj here.
All right.
Well, we before we get started with the NXT AEW, this is going to be one of the last nights that we get to do this in terms of covering both shows. So I want to get both your reaction to the news that came out about NXT moving to Tuesday nights. Matt, what do you think about that?
Good. I hate bastardizing one of them every week, and I feel like I cover it a little bit less, NXT, to be honest, which when I watch it the day after on Thursday afternoons and stuff, it's a much better show than when I watched it that Wednesday previously because my eyes are glued to AEW the whole time.
Yeah, I felt tonight was a prime example of why we need them to be on separate nights. Both shows were good, both shows delivered, but I still feel like I missed out on so much going back and forward between the two.
Yeah, no, it is very hard. I mean, I can imagine just watching it as a fan in general, just watching both shows, keeping up with that is pretty difficult because both of them have these little strategies to where when they go to commercial, sometimes they do picture-in-picture, sometimes not. And then also just so much is going on that I'm really looking forward to both of them being on separate nights just so I can see it. Because part of it is me going back and watching each of them and seeing what I miss, especially based on these podcasts we do. When I hear Justin go over some of the stuff, I'm like, well, I didn't know that part of it happened. So
do you think
do so much.
Listen, do you think the ratings will go up because of this?
Certainly, especially for NXT. I think NXT has more to gain in terms of the ratings going up. I think they're going to have that lead in for Raw. I think they're going to really get behind it with USA Network. I think NXT has more to gain. I think we might get to a place sooner rather than later where NXT is either competing or has more total viewers than AEW just on the strength of being on one night. But AEW is definitely going to grow too.
I feel the opposite way about it. I think NXT has a tougher road with wrestling fans not being wired to tuning on Tuesdays to where we are wired to tune in on Wednesdays. So I think it's going to take some time to adjust to having to watch wrestling, especially after a draining Monday Night Raw. You might not be ready for more wrestling on Tuesdays. You might need that night to decompress.
Good point. Yeah, Tuesday usually is that night off after 3 hours. So that's actually a good point. Well, let's get into the shows. Let's start with AEW Dynamite. We opened with Christian versus Frankie Kazarian. These two had a very good professional wrestling match. Kazarian dominated early. Cage did look rusty in parts, I will say that. But the story of the match was basically Kazarian going for a chicken wing, which apparently is a move he's been winning a lot of matches with on Dark and Elevation. They teased a time limit draw. These two went a very long time, but toward the end of the match, Christian hits the kill switch for the win. What did you guys think about Christian's debut?
I really didn't take it as much as Christian's debut as I took it as a great opportunity for Frankie Kazarian to show the world once again when he was at Impact with TNA Impact Wrestling, man, we had that group fortune together, right? Frankie, I always thought, dead serious, should have been the second biggest star right after AJ in that group. He looked, who's the movie star he looks like when he had long hair? Bandai, what was his name? Bandejas? What was the guy's name?
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No, long hair. He had long and it's a Spanish, very famous Spanish actor. Anyways, Antonio Banderas.
Yes.
Antonio Banderas on his prime was the man.
You're too young, so you probably don't even remember Frankie Kazarian with long hair. But seriously, the dude was great looking, was great in the ring, had everything it took to be a single star by himself for years, and I'm almost pissed off at these companies have taken this long to get with the program. And what I really appreciated was how Tony Khan put Frankie Kazarian over huge. Last night, I watched a little bit of Impact, and he did one of his crash commercials where he just sits there and brags about AEW, Tony Khan. And he called Frankie a legend of AEW, which I was like, that's pretty cool. They're a new company, you know, but still, it's quite a thing to say. And this was for me, watching this guy struggle for so many years to get with a company that would give him a legitimate opportunity and not pull the rug out from underneath him. This was a big match, I thought. So I took this way bigger than a Christian Cage. Christian, I love him to death, but this was not his debut to me. This was, in my opinion, a main event caliber wrestled, executed match by Frank Kazarian. And the company can do a lot more with him because you saw the stuff he was pulling off in that ring. It was ridiculous. His ring psychology is second to none. His moveset's actually, it's exciting and entertaining. It's not boring. And again, the dude gets better with age somehow. But again, I said this 15 years ago. This dude should have been a singles act star many, many moons ago.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna go all the way to the time draw. I did. And like Matt said, I was actually more impressed with Frankie than I was with Christian. And listen, his gimmick is outwork everyone. And I kept saying he's getting outworked. Like that's the whole thing. Outwork everyone. Well, guess what? He's getting outworked right now, which I appreciated that. I really wanted it to come to a time draw and see it again. It was an excellent match. I agree with you that he did look rusty, Christian, a couple of times, but I mean, look how he was wrestling against. Right. And it's been 7 years since he had a singles match. So if that's his first one, props to him.
And just so you guys know, dead serious, the kind of match they wrestled is there's a difference between different matches on the card. When you get put on the beginning of the card, like the first 3 matches, you're supposed to fit within a certain box of what you're allowed to do and execute in your storytelling. You're not supposed to leave the ring, little things like that. You're not supposed to be in as many rest holds. Middle of the card, you could pick it up a little bit. Main event, you're supposed to everything in the kitchen sink involved in your ring psychology in that match. And there you pull out all the stops. So to Christian's credit, he wrestled, in my opinion, that was a main event executed match as far as how long it went, how hard they went. So to be fair to him, like that wasn't a welcome back. Hey, here's a 3-minute squash match for you, right. Christian Cage. Right. You're being thrown into the freaking deep end right away. And that's his own. I know him and I know Jay enough to know that's his own doing. He wanted that because he's a huge star. He could have told them to go fly a kite. I want to wrestle a 3-minute match. And they would have had to have been okay with that because he's that big of a star, like a Chris Jericho. They can say those things. So I thought that was awesome that he picked Frankie Kazarian because he did. He definitely picked Frank Kazarian to do this match with. And 2, put in so much time. He put in so much time in that match. And again, guys, that was a main event caliber match.
Yeah, this is exactly what Christian needed in terms of his first match. I thought, based on exactly what they did, this is what I would have expected, seeing them make that deal last week to wrestle, that they were just going to go in there and have a really good match. And I'm just looking forward to what Christian has moving forward. Because you got to remember, he hasn't been wrestling for the better part of, 7 years? Or it's been several years since we last saw Christian in the ring. So his first match back, I thought, he overachieved. It just
listen, I'm in the gym every day, and there's a difference of being in the gym and being in shape, even doing cardio every day. I do fasted cardio every morning, and then I do it at night. I'm still not in wrestling shape. Yeah. Okay. You can only be in wrestling shape by wrestling. And I'll be honest, I have that show coming, a charity event that I'm going to be wrestling at on April 10th here in Central Florida, cheap plug. But guys, like in my head already, I'm coming up with ways to make it a tag match, to pick and choose where I get tagged in. Do you know what I mean? So I'm smart about it. And so to speak after taking so much time off, I was really blown away by the fact that he was able to pull off that match after 7 years. Holy crap.
Yeah, because they worked their asses off.
Seriously.
Got a super chat from I'll get the super chat going. So before we get into this, the next segment, it was a couple of backstage vignettes where AEW just maxed out its shit use to where first it was Sting and Darby Allin with Darby Allin talking about Matt Hardy. He's saying that your body's breaking down. Money's not going to buy you real friends, and then your money doesn't mean shit to me. And then Jade Cargill comes in talking about Red Velvet, and she says, keep talking that shit. Nobody can beat me. I'm that bitch. What did you guys think about these two promos?
I thought both
like.
were awesome.
Good. Yeah, I dug both of them.
Yeah, the Darby and Sting, like they were like throwing money in the air, making it rain. Like I used to be like, why are these two together? Now I absolutely adore the two of them together. On the beginning, I was like, it doesn't make
Dude,
sense to me. Now I don't
Darby
want them
makes him
apart.
cool.
I
Darby
know,
makes him cool.
I know, and it's funny because you would think it would be the other way around, but no, it's Darby that's making this pair here, and that's amazing for him because when you
Right.
bring an older talent, that's what they should be doing, making sure that the younger star is shining, and Sting is doing that for Darby right now. I love that video package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sting didn't say a word either. He was just with Darby, and Darby was doing all the heavy lifting. It was just there, just like you said, Issa. And Stellar Justin Lopez, friend of the show, of course, he says it was nice to see this type of match on Dynamite. AEW needs more balance with their matches, and Christian will bring this to AEW. Yes, this is your garden variety professional wrestling match, but very good because both guys worked very hard.
So remember, I said a while back when Christian first got signed, I think it was last week, I said I was concerned that the AEW fans wouldn't appreciate his style of work, where he's doing sunset flips off the second rope, or his little bump he does every single match in which the guy pushes him over the top rope, he hooks the rope with his bicep and takes the sick looking bump to the outside of the ring. He does that every match. Little things like that. I was like, is AEW fans really going to think that's athletic enough and really being in fifth gear? Will they appreciate it? So I'm interested to see what the rating does.
Yeah. So this next match, a lot going on here. QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes. This is your exhibition match. That's how it's advertised, with Arn Anderson as special guest referee. So this really was just like a standard wrestling match. Some people thought it might be like a Greco-Roman type exhibition. No, it was like actually just a regular wrestling match where the story was Cody, like he had said, every time he had a chance to hurt QT Marshall, he didn't do it. He had a chance to step on his face, he didn't do it. And then QT Marshall was taking cheap shots, like slapping him around and just acting very foolish. This match took a real turn where the Nightmare family, which was surrounding the ring, they get into it. There starts a brawl, which is essentially like a civil war of sorts, because Aaron Solo, Anthony Ogogo, and Nick Camarado of the Nightmare family turn on them. The big moment comes where QT Marshall gets a cheap shot in on Arn Anderson. And so now these three guys are beating everybody up. We get a pile driver on a bloody Dustin Rhodes on the steel steps. I mean, this guy bleeds better than anybody in the business.
Yes.
I mean, he's got face paint, and he's just bleeding through his face paint. And then he teases a chair shot on Cody Rhodes' head on the steel step. Red Velvet comes in and she cusses him out and tells him to stop, and he eventually backs down. So it looks like we're getting kind of a new faction with QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, those of you who don't know, Bailey's ex, Anthony Ogogo, and Nick Camarado. Looks like they're spinning off into their own thing. What did you guys think about this?
Real quick, I don't know if those other talents are over enough yet to really. I was happy to see them being featured, I guess, because they're different, they're somewhat new, but I don't know. This is a really stacked roster. I can't really see them getting off of Dark and on AEW Dynamite. For now, they will, because they're brand new. They just formed. So, yeah. But after a week or two, I don't think they're going to be regulated to Dark. But who cares? The main thing here was QT Marshall, I thought, was awesome. I thought he was hilarious. He's another one. Paid his dues for many, many years. Was told he was too generic looking. He wrestled too... his work was too smooth, which is like, that's such a compliment. That makes no sense on why you would not hire somebody for that reason. It makes no sense to me. But happy to see him get an opportunity. Happy to see him put it out of the park tonight. Good on the Rhodeses for selling their asses off to get to this part. And good on, again, back to QT. Good on him. He looked good.
Yeah, I was very impressed by QT, I would say. To Matt's point, I'm somebody that recently started doing the Wednesday nights, watching Wednesday night wrestling, so I wasn't familiar with half of these people. And I do think that there's too many factions in AEW, and it gets confusing to keep up with. So yet another one, I just think it's a lot. We'll see where they go with it. The selling and the beatdown was good. I'll give them that, but I just think it's getting hard to keep up with all these factions at this point, but maybe they'll go somewhere. A lot of them end up telling a better story than what I give them credit on the beginning, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, I thought this was good. I like QT Marshall. I've liked everything he's done. They made a thing about Lee Marshall getting attacked too, because that's kind of how this thing started. So I think you're going to get QT Marshall versus Lee Marshall out of this, and then that's probably going to lead to QT versus Cody. So they're doing a good job with QT Marshall. And yeah, I guess factions is just based on how AEW books. Like literally everybody in AEW is in a faction. So I guess that's just how they decide to do things. We get a backstage promo with Jon Moxley, another good promo. He's questioning whose side the Young Bucks are on. He's talking about all the reasons he's pissed off. One of the reasons he's hot, he takes his shirt off. And then he says that you can make a lot of money with Cesar Bononi, but not if I kill him, which I thought was a great line. Then we get Cesar Bononi versus Jon Moxley. This match went a very long time. I was very surprised with how much time they gave these two. Cesar looked fine. There's a lot of outside interference from Ryan Nemeth, who I think has a lot of promise as a manager. The finish comes when Jon Moxley counters a pump handle slam into a rear naked choke and chokes off the big tree and Cesar Bononi and wins the match.
Good, great promo. First and foremost, the promo I thought was absolute fire. All of his promos have been really lately.
Yeah.
But this was good. The match was, he did what he was supposed to do. He helped get the big guy over a little bit, right? Gave him some rub, and ultimately had to do what he had to do, which is win, obviously. This was a good match. It was all right.
Yeah, I really, really appreciate the promo. I think any promo that Moxley does at this point, as soon as you see him, you just get excited because, you know, he's going to hype you up. No matter what he says, he's going to hype you up for whatever is coming up. I didn't really watch the full match because I was doing the back and forward thing, but the promo I enjoyed.
Yeah. So then we get Team Taz is backstage. Taz is doing the nothing to see here. Everything is good. And then Brian Cage and Ricky Starks get into it, have a heated moment. Cooler heads prevail. But again, they're teasing that Team Taz is going to either break up or Brian Cage is going to leave Team Taz. Is really what they're going for here.
There's no breakup here. Brian Cage is announcing, which he should, because he screams main event star.
Yeah, I see Brian Cage, especially after that the cinematic match that they have. He looked like such a movie villain in that match that I was like, this guy should be alone. Like, he's a star. He looks like a star. He's got the build for it. I wouldn't be opposed to him going solo and doing his thing to the main event.
We got a super chat from Chris Pantaleo. Says, poor Moxley doesn't have a faction. He's like the last kid to get picked at dodgeball in school.
But you know something? It works. It makes sense. He's a lone wolf.
Sure.
He should be that way. And he's paired up technically with his old compadre, who's now injured, but which makes sense too, right? Two old drinking buddies are kind of partnered together again until he hurt his leg and broke his leg or whatever. But he should be that way though. He shouldn't be in any of these gangs.
Gangs.
Gang rules. We get the backstage segment with the Pinnacle and MJF. So this is great. MJF is giving a gift to the Pinnacle. He got an interior decorator to redesign the room. So he's showing him all these swatches. And then he goes to open the bathroom. And there is the inner circle or parts of it. He tries to run. And then Jake Hager is in one of the other rooms. And so this leads to a huge brawl, completely dominated by the inner circle. Sammy Guevara slams the door on Spears' head. Hager puts Wardlow through a massage table. Cash Wheeler is knocked into an ice bath. Jericho puts MJF's face in a toilet. And MJF coughs up the water. Disgusting. Puts his face through a Pepsi cooler. And then they put their logo on the inner circle locker room, saying that this is their locker room to reclaim. What did you guys think about this?
This was a good beatdown, but unfortunately, way too soon. There is no way on God's green earth Pinnacle should be getting beat down at all just yet. At least in my opinion, it's way too soon, way too early. They just finally, last week's episode of their in-ring promo segment, appeared like a main event stable, right? Ready to take over the wrestling world. What havoc is this collection of great talents gonna cause now together, right? So this week we should have seen this faction just killing people, or continue on with that backstage segment of MJF showing them all the stuff he got for that. Fine, but it should never have gotten even remotely close to any physicality yet with Jericho's group, let alone giving us all the payoff. We already got our payoff. It happened tonight. The payoff meaning rooting for the baby faces who had some sympathy on them finally, being the inner circle, and they couldn't at least wait 2 weeks to pay it off. Are you shitting me? This is super lazy book, not lazy booking. I don't even know what kind of booking you want to call this, but it pisses me. This bothered me a lot. These are my two favorite groups. Many of them within those two groups are like 4 of them are like my top 10 favorite wrestlers there. So I was really pissed to see this happen because MJF's group did not need to happen yet. This was light years away from happening. It didn't just happen. It wasn't like a schmoz, guys. It wasn't them going back and forth. MJF's group got their asses handed to them tonight.
Yes.
Definitively. So what else is there left?
Right.
Where's the pay? There's no more payoff anymore. And you jabroned your new Top's heel stable in the process. This was stupid booking. I'm very bothered by it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I was thinking, why didn't they do that after they remodeled the room? Like, I think it would have been even better revenge for them to have the room all done and then the inner circle reclaims it. That would have been smarter, especially coming from Jericho. That being said, I had a great appreciation to see the inner circle get a little bit of an edge back because they were starting to feel too much comedy for me. And I needed to see them go back to being like badasses. You know, they haven't been seen that way in quite some time. So, and they were getting a lot of losses. So it was good to see a little bit of edge, but I didn't need to see all of that. If it would have been like Matt said, maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe it would have been better. But yeah, the Pinnacle just felt like such a big deal 2 weeks ago. And now they feel like part of the bunch.
This is a two-pronged for me in that, like, on entertainment value alone, this was very fun to watch. I very much enjoyed this segment, but I'm 100% with Matt in that it's like when this was over, I was like, wait, so now what does the Pinnacle do? Because not only did they just debut and they kind of got buried entirely, we got the payoff. We got one payoff after another where everybody got a big spot done to them. This is what should have happened in whatever blood and guts match they had planned, whatever stadium stampede they have planned down the road. That's what this reminded me of, and it happened on a free TV show 2 weeks into the new heel stable. So yes, absolutely.
And not even in the ring, not even in a match setting, right? They just did it all completely, full payoff.
Yeah,
bought and paid for right in front of our eyes. A week or 2 weeks after, we were supposed to start feeling sympathy for Jericho and his group. You got to remember, he said it's hard to feel sympathy for Chris Jericho. His other group members, yes, especially Sammy Guevara, who screams babyface. But for Chris Jericho, who's been such an amazing heel all year long, or last how long they've been open for business, AEW, I should say, since he got there, he's been the top heel for God knows how long. It's one of the, if not him or MJF. So for him to get sympathy on him is not easy, and they should have continued down that path. And I know what you're saying. You're saying like, oh, you don't want him to continue to get punked out. You don't. You have them do what they did to MJF's group tonight with fucking 50 of the other guys on the roster that were sitting there backstage eating catering. That's what you do. You have them take 5 nobodies and just beat the snot out of them, trying to get their hands or trying to get to MJF's group, but they don't ever get there. This was lazy booking. I mean, seriously, I can't even call it lazy. I don't know what to call it. They can't be not smart enough to realize they just gave us the payoff tonight. They can't possibly be that dumb. So I don't know. I hope it's something better, but I don't know how MJF and his group's going to get his steam back. MJF has had shit on him by being a part of the inner circle that entire run. He suffered the most. He didn't get any rub out of that for being with Chris. He got destroyed and got hurt because he was the only serious heel on that show. Night in, night out, every single episode that you could count on, to cut a world beater promo and have hatred surround him and have everybody hate him as a heel. Didn't matter what the segment was. He blew all of that when they put him with the inner circle. They put him in grab ass segments, stupid haha crap. So they finally start to get that funk off of him and get old MJF back. We couldn't even give him 2 weeks before then you clipped his nuts again. That's so, you have no, it blows my mind. It really does. I'm not exaggerating. I was really pissed off by this segment.
Yeah, I mean, the only answer really is to get their heat back by having them beat down the inner circle. But we saw that. I mean, we saw that's how they launched this group. So really, they'd be taking steps backwards to kind of retell the same story.
But here's what we can't unsee, you guys. Yeah, we have never seen MJF's group take an ass whipping yet. We shouldn't have seen it. Now we've seen it. I've seen it. You've seen it. So guess what? I have flashbacks of old Sean Spears doing the job to random people. I have flashbacks of what's the tag team group?
FTR.
Jackson Axe, whatever the fuck their names are. Being back in WWE and being mistreated, okay? And being treated like jobbers. And then MJF being thrown in the inner circle and doing stupid backstage segments he's too good to be doing because he's a main event heel talent. That's to be treated no less. And Wardlow gets some on him on this as well. Seriously, this really bothered me because we can't now unsee that ass whipping they just took.
This is how you write people off TV. A lot of things that happen, like shots, a door slammed on his head. That's what you
should
do.
Be done. Should be out now.
His face in the toilet. It's like if somebody's leaving the territory, you want to embarrass them. That's what you do. So this is very emphatic.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call that for booking. I can't say lazy. I don't know what the word is, but it's, you know what I mean?
They're gonna probably book some kind of crazy match just for it to culminate. Because if this is the first beatdown, they're going to have to do like a crazy gimmick in order for it to look like, or to help us forget.
But then that's the same thing as like when they taught me how to cut a promo, right? I used to scream the whole fucking time. You want to see me wrestle tonight because I'm big and I'm tall. And big and tall people yelling, screaming, flexing muscles while I'm yelling into the microphone. Well, wait, why am I yelling? Because I think I'm supposed to be yelling. You don't want me to yell? Oh, tell a story. Bring people up and down with, okay, I'll try that. All right. Same thing with storytelling in these angles. So because they gave us this, how the hell are they going to top this? What are they going to choke slam Sammy Guevara off the top of the Empire State Building? Like, what are they going to do?
Well, I want to see you yell like that.
It's all here. It's all up here now. It's all up here is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, Chris Wendt disagrees. He says this was the best return beatdown I've seen in the past 5 years. Inner Circle.
Oh my God! I listen. Is it possible? Is it possible for me to take away people's rights, whatever you want to call it, or opportunities to give Raj money on this show with terribly dumb comments like that? 5 years? What wrestling have you been watching?
Well, that's why I saved the nice tweet for the second time, or the super chat for the second one. Don't have a question at the moment. Just want to say I love the show and wishing your families a happy Easter. Okay, that's what baby super chat. God, I love Matt. So we get to our next segment. After this, we get another backstage segment. It's the Young Bucks and Don Callis. So this is the Young Bucks saying they don't want to air their dirty laundry, but Don Callis crashes a segment. He wants words with Matt Jackson, so he's just kind of provoking him, saying, what happened to you? You're not going to do anything. You're so dead inside. You don't feel anything for the people who love you. He strangled Callis, Matt Jackson did, and but then he holds back. He doesn't do anything, and Callis calls him pathetic.
Dude, Callis slapped him clear across the face.
Yes, right before. Very hard.
And I don't know where they're going with this. I don't, but hopefully they're going somewhere with it.
Yeah. It feels like that's a story they've been telling for a couple of weeks, right? Like what happened to the Young Bucks? Like what happened to your swag or whatever. So I don't know where they'll go with it, but that was a good slap. I saw it too. I was like, oh, he slapped the shit out of him.
He was selling it later on in the night. He said when he came out later on, he was selling it.
Yeah. So I agree, though. The Young Bucks were such a big deal, and now they don't feel like they have that edge anymore. So I'm glad that people are calling them out. Let's see if they get it back.
Yeah, and we got a super chat saying that the War Games match will make it worth it. Let's hope so. Let's hope they have something big planned. I will say about these segments, these guys,
those of you in the chat room, let me be clear. There's no way you could take this 20 pounds of shit and gift wrapped it for me. I'm not going to open it on Christmas Day. It's still shit. Okay? There's no way you can convince me that this new super heel stable that we were all calling it, not just on this show, you all in the chat room, calling this the next Four Horsemen. Don't they remind you of the Four Horsemen? They even got Tully. Oh my God. And the next week, they're getting their asses handed to them. Guys, you cannot explain that away to me. I'm a bigger AEW mark than all of you combined. So don't say I'm hating on them. I'm speaking very, very true facts right now. This should not have happened. And you cannot explain this away. Unless, I take it back. Unless all five get murdered in the storyline, because that's the only way to up this. That's the only way to up the ante from what we just saw tonight. Dude almost got drowned in a toilet. Dude went flying through a Pepsi machine. Sean Spears broke his neck. There's no way he didn't break his neck on that. door in the, neck in the door. It's just way too much. Way too much. You shouldn't have got their hands on them, guys.
Well, Tony Khan, you know what to do up the ante. We've got Murder coming up on AEW TV. Hopefully not hopefully. That would be terrible.
How come wrestling has never done that, by the way?
Murder storyline?
I know it sounds corny, right? But still, like, we've seen some really crazy stuff in pro wrestling. We saw a hand be birthed.
They tried to do a murder storyline with Vince McMahon when he blew up in the limo. That was going to be him dead, and they're going to do a funeral. But then Chris Benoit died like immediately after that, so they completely dropped it.
No, I remember
Randy
that.
did burn the Fiend. I mean, that looks like murder at the moment.
Yes.
Back then, it felt like murder.
Yeah, I
know.
That's up there. No,
a lot of people saying the Fiend was murdered, but I mean, he's back.
Up there.
Yeah.
Yes, murder in pro wrestling. So then we get the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega versus the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. Just as you expect, a lot of action, double teams, triple teams, very wild. I really like this. There's one spot where Phoenix took a high boot, and I think he did this on purpose, just technically, but he landed right on top of his head. It looked pretty scary, but he was just fine. It comes down to
he was trying to take a flip bump from it and got stuck.
Right on his, I was.
God bless him. He is. God bless him for wanting to take that. I would have loved that if I threw a big boot. And the dude said he wanted to take that bump. AJ used to take that bump, where they do like a backflip out of it.
Right. Yeah. The finish came down to Laredo Kid and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega wins with a one-winged angel, and then Moxley comes out with the Young Bucks. This is where Matt Jackson saw him at slap, and then Omega and his goons run off. When they come to the ring, so we're still teasing this dissension between the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, but no physicality yet between these two.
Because long time storytelling. What they're not doing with the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle, they're doing it here.
So we get a super chat off topic. Jack Collins, of course. Off topic. I'm glad NXT going Tuesdays. I'm a big AEW fan, so I didn't watch NXT. Screw that headache. 2 shows at once. Now I can check NXT out. Amen.
Yeah,
that was a headache.
Yeah. Shout out to Jax. Jax Collins just randomly checked in on me the other day and said, "Hey, man, I hope you and your family are having a good week." Just literally out of left field. He's a good friend of the show. Thank you, Jax.
He's a real friend.
Right?
Get Nyla Rose and the Bunny versus Hikaru Shida and Tay Conti. So they're having a match. The brawl breaks out on the outside because you've got the Hardy HFO. What is it? The Hardy Family Office and the Dark Order are brawling on the outside. Vicky Guerrero distracts the referee, which leads to the Bunny hitting Tay Conti with a kendo stick and then a rabbit hole on Tay Conti for the win. And so the Bunny, in her return, because she doesn't do a lot of wrestling on AEW Dynamite, but I thought she looked good in this match, and she got the win.
Which is a shame because she's improved her wrestling tremendously. When she was at Impact, she improved a lot toward the end there. Let me ask you guys a question: are you cool with her being called the Bunny? I still don't understand why she's called the Bunny.
Yeah, they never really explained it. I mean, that's her name, so if that's what she wants to be called, that's fine.
I annoy my wife with this. I'm incredibly over analytical, super over analytical on the dumbest, smallest, most minute stuff. And maybe this is an example of it. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you guys.
Yeah, I've never really had a problem with it. The only thing is the butcher and the blade just sounds so extreme and hardcore and violent, and then it's and the Bunny. It just doesn't really she should be like a jackrabbit or something like that, something more violent.
Is jackrabbit violent?
I mean, it sounds more violent. It's just it just sounds better than the Bunny is more of a. It doesn't
call her a jackrabbit. Don't call her a jackrabbit.
You think of a playful animal, right? With a rabbit.
Why should we call her a jackrabbit? So what's wrong with that?
Listen, I'm not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get demonetized.
Hey, Chris Panaleo, about murder in wrestling. Raw murders me on Mondays. Does that count? Well, you're still with us. You still give us money. So.
Well played, Chris Pantaleo. Very good job.
We got one from Terrence.
Can I just say something real quick?
Sure,
a humble brag.
Please.
Guess who Monday Night Raw doesn't kill anymore? This guy.
Why?
I ain't watching it.
You're done with
it.
I ain't watching no more.
Terrence Winhead said, I get tired of every other segment ending in a brawl like AEW. Get better ideas.
Okay. Yes. But what sucks is what I was saying earlier. When you do everything up here the whole time,
right?
When you need to get up here, it doesn't mean anything. right? Just like if you're down here the whole time, right? And very, very quiet and whispering in your promos and whatnot. If everybody talked like this every single time, it wouldn't mean anything. That's why you've got to do this. The roller coaster ride you're supposed to be taking fans on, whether verbally on a promo or in your booking of the show even. And because there are all these schmazes, he's right. And I know what he's saying. But there's some of these that have to be schmazes, that have to end that way. And it sucks because I'm like, oh, this is just going to be an afterthought because the last 3 segments ended the same way. So fans are probably going to crap on it. But technically, this was the right way to end that segment for this one storyline. But the previous 2 to 3 storylines, I didn't think they needed to do that. And therefore, they took away from the segments that they do need to end in those schmazes sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. We have a super chat from Nightmare Knee. I love AEW, but I have been disappointed by the booking lately. Thank you for skipping my first super chat, Nancy. I don't believe I skipped it. We're all caught up, Nightmare Knee, but if I did, I apologize. You can put what you were going to say there, and I'll put it up there.
And just so you guys know, like, they don't purposely, like, Glenn gets accused of that all the time. Like, oh, you skipped my super chat on purpose. Like, guys, Raj is like Big Brother. I have a feeling Raj has cameras in all of their homes to make sure they don't miss your super chats, because Raj is after every single dollar you guys give to the show. I'm just telling you. So they have a lot of pressure on them not to miss your super chat.
But thank you. Please let us know when we do. Amin Jassim, the Pinnacle beatdown was very nuanced storytelling. What do you think about that, Matt?
You know what I think. I'm not going to go off on another 20-minute dissertation. That was terrible storytelling. Horrible storytelling. Do you want to know where that was nuanced? Storyline telling, my friend, is if 5 out of 5 of those members have gotten injured and they had to figure a way to write them out of the show tonight. That is the only way that made sense tonight. You don't give the payoff a week later.
And then we get Jax Callens turning me babyface. Yo, give it up for Alfred driving the train tonight, doing a killer job. Thank you, Jax Callens. I appreciate your support. So we go to the Jurassic Express is backstage, and they're challenging Bear Country to a match next week. It ends when Marco Stunt shows off a new tattoo of King Kong, and Luchasaurus is pissed.
Just you saying that is hilarious.
It is. The whole segment itself was actually quite funny. It was fun.
Yeah, it really came out of nowhere, but it was very funny. And then we get to the main event, Arcade Anarchy. Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor versus Miro and Kip Sabian. So we get a lot of plunder, a lot of hardcore spots. Instead of thumbtacks, we have Legos in the ring. So there's a couple Lego spots. One big surprise, or at least the first big surprise of this match, was Chris Statlander returning out of nowhere, putting Penelope Ford through a table. Then my favorite surprise, I had no idea how much I missed this woman, but as they're brawling to the outside, up pulls a van, and Sue is there with Trent. I was happier to see Sue than I was to see Trent. I thought this was very funny. And then Trent comes out, and he just kind of runs wild. He looks great. He's back to being shredded. He's back much earlier than I thought he was going to be. He spears Miro through a table, leading to a running power slam by Taylor on Kip Sabian through a stage. And Chuck Taylor gets the pin. He gets the win. And the Arcade Anarchy is won by the best friends who reunite in the center of the ring, giving the people what they got.
No, this is not what the people want. Just because the announcer yells it, got to give the people what they want. I yell at my TV, but I don't want that. And this was terrible. This was like, dude, first of all, the stipulation was ridiculous, right? This Arcade Anarchy to begin with. They're fighting over video games. I just want to repeat to those at home. Over video games. This what started this fight. Okay. You have a definite perennial main eventer. How about this one? A potential perennial heavyweight champion, I'd even give it to him as. What's his name in AEW now? Miro. Sorry. Miro. And this is what they're still doing with him. So I'm prayerful this gets him the hell out of this and done with for good. I hope that is what happens. I pray that's what happens. But there is no setting at all that you can give me that I would ever think that those two ever could beat these two, just simply because of Miro. And regardless, Miro did not take the pin, correct?
Yes, he did not take the pin. He looked good in this match. They really protected him as a monster for a long time. He was just running wild.
You're correct. They did, but I don't know. Look, I don't want to keep crapping on it because this wasn't my thing. I didn't like this match.
Before we go to you, Issa, I want to say that Matt got somebody to print a retraction. Amin Jassim says, LOL, I was just joking. It was horrible storytelling. I love AEW, but they really need to learn how to let things simmer. And I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Simmer, like, brother, they simmer. Simmer would be a month, maybe 3 weeks. Like, we saw the kit and caboodle. There's nowhere to go from here as far as if we felt sympathy for those baby faces that just got embarrassed and laid out in the inner circle. We were giving a whopping 1 week to feel sympathy for them. And 1 week later, guess what? Before we could develop that sympathy for them, they already struck. They're back. Yeah. And they owned all 5 other members. I don't know.
How did you enjoy this match, Issa?
So the main event, I think I tweeted as soon as it came out, looking like $1 million, I tweeted, Miro needs to be kicking ass. He doesn't need to be involved in this. That was my tweet tonight. He looks the part, and I hate that he's involved in this. I hated it since the beginning. I felt the match was a nice surprise. It had a couple of enjoyable spots. I just really want him out of this story and to move on to something else. I did like scenes too, which I was telling you.
Issa, so the only reason I don't mean to cut you off, I don't want to forget to bring this up. So there's a saying that Jim Cornette used to say to us in Ohio Valley Wrestling, and it's about not getting any on you. So like when I got to TNA Impact, for example, and I was Jimmy's bodyguard, right? There was some terrible written show once. And I remember going, so are we on tonight? And he's like, no, trust me. I'm like, what do you mean? I get paid per show at the time. That's how my deal worked. I was being paid per show. I wasn't under contract just yet with them. Still proving myself. And he's like, no, this is one of those deals, Matt, where we don't want to get any on us. Trust me. And I watched the show, and the show was rotten. And so what you're saying right there with Miro is that's an example right there of what happens when you get some on you. Mm-hmm. And you, even though you didn't do anything weird or wrong or whatever in that match or that even storyline for that matter, just because you're a part of it, you now have that funk on you, you have that stank on you, and it's part of you now. So like I'm just, again, I feel grateful that to get him out of this, and he just goes on an ass kicking just collision course.
I really, really would have loved to see him. Well, I don't know anymore after tonight, but I really was rooting for him to be part of the Pinnacle instead of Sean Spears. No,
oh my God! Hell yeah!
He would have been such a good choice for
him. Great muscle. Great muscle. Yeah. He would have been a great Batista, but we shouldn't say
I will say, with Wardlow already there, doesn't that kind of scoop what Wardlow's there for as a muscle? Do we need 2 muscles in one group?
Okay.
No, because Miro would have not gone through a table like Wardlow did tonight.
Leo has a super chat. Raj does a Money in the Bank run-in for super chats. I could see him doing that. He doesn't miss. Brett Murphy says, justice for Miro. I'm so pissed off. That was weird. Brett. I thought we were going to get the breakup storyline tonight. I thought it was going to be Kip loses and then Miro gets pissed and beats him down. I'm sure that's where it's building, but the fact that he just kind of ushered that off and made the best friends reunion the story, which again, I guess that is a bigger story now that Trent is back, but hopefully they've got something planned for Miro. It does look like
and tonight was a little bit loaded. Like tonight's show was action-packed, so maybe they just want to save it for a different week. But yeah, I just really want to see Miro get what I wanted to see him get in WWE, and he never got. As soon as he debuted on AEW, I was so excited for him, and it just feels like he's just been stuck in this story. And, I get it. Maybe you don't want Omega to lose anytime soon, but the TNT title is still there, and I think a feud between him and Darby will be a lot of fun. I'm just saying, like, there's so much for him to do than this.
No, absolutely. I mean, that would be a great feud with him and Darby. I mean, whenever Darby is ready to lose that title, because I really don't think Darby needs that TNT title. He's one of those guys who's kind of established. He's on his way. He's very young, but he's one of the more popular stars in AEW. And I think somebody like Miro to kind of reestablish him could really benefit for that title. But on this show, like you said, it was action-packed. And I think that was kind of the problem because there were a lot of segments that were just back to back to back to back, and they just had to rush out. And it reminded me of like what TNA used to do when they would just go from one segment to the other and just like run to the back. We've got a couple of super chats here. Justin Lopez, you have 8 weeks left till Double or Nothing. Jesus. Inner Circle should have returned by the end of April. During that time, Pinnacle should be dominating. Completely agreed.
Agreed.
And even then, you guys, I still would not put the Inner Circle over on the Pinnacle. I just wouldn't.
No, I will still let them get beat down one more time. Or a couple of more times. Let them to get that sympathy. Let them get beat down like a lot. They were off TV, come back and get beat down again. Like that's the way that it should have gone.
They have enough TV equity where they could have done that and they wouldn't have been hurt by it. They've been on TV for so long now, especially Chris Jericho. He's such a big star. He can take it. He's that big of a deal, you know.
Got more feedback for the main event. Nathaniel Cook, love AEW, but their decision for main events are terrible, almost as worse as this year's Mania buildup. Would you guys say that AEW's booking is worse than WrestleMania buildup?
So he's not wrong. I mean, think about it. Should this have been the main event? Like, no, this shouldn't have been the main event. So what would you? What would you put in its place though? I'm trying to think back.
The opening match.
Christian and Callis
would have been a great main event.
Okay.
I would have swapped them.
It's Christian Cage's first match right there. That's how you bill it. Yeah.
I agree that would have been a good spot for the main event. You start the show off hot, knowing how that match went down, and then just knowing the match that Christian had with Frankie Kazarian, that would have been a very satisfying main event, I think.
But they'll say hindsight's 2020. We didn't know it would have been an A++ style match like that. I don't know. But anything was better than an arcade match. Like, I'm sorry.
So that was your show in terms of AEW. What did you guys think about the show as a whole?
I'm a huge mark for this. I admit it. I am a homer when it comes to judging them. I tell the fans before and after the show. So you should probably take a point off of everything I give them because I love this show. I love the characters on it. I love the talent of it. I love, generally speaking, their vision of wanting to try new things. So these are, and plus they're the new company in town, right? They're the new David taking on Goliath. And they're our best chance to have WWE change their ways one day, you know, in my opinion. And we need them to stick this time. So I want to say that's why I'm always a homer for them, right? That said, at a scale of 1 to 10, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, sure.
7.5, which is very low for me. I usually don't go below 8.5 for them, but 7.5 tonight.
Issa?
Yeah, I'm right around there, 7.5. I thought there was a lot of good in-ring action. I loved a lot of the backstage segments tonight. I didn't think they were going to put such a loaded show competing with a go-home show for NXT, so I give them props for still putting quality television and not getting a little bit lazy because, you know, NXT was going to also bring their best to the table tonight.
Yes.
7.5.
What do you think, though, about that other match that could have been in the main event slot, or am I wrong? What was the second to last match?
The 6-man tag team match?
The trio match, yeah.
That could have been a main event. Yeah. Too.
Yeah. But considering nothing really happened, that the heels just ran off, and that would have been kind of a flat ending. But that, in terms of wrestling-wise, yeah, very good. So we go to NXT. So NXT, one of the last NXTs on Wednesday night, cherish this. It could be like an NFT. I don't know if you guys are familiar with NFT, but it could be something like that.
Oh, my God.
WNXT on March 31st. We get Roderick Strong versus Cameron Grimes in the opening match. Grimes comes out. He's got a new T-shirt. He's still trying to get intellectual property, the Undisputed Era, but this time he wants it to be called Grimes the System instead of Shock the System. We even get a voiceover for Grimes the System. And so they have their match. Good match, pretty explosive. Cameron has a foreign object that he tries to introduce, but Roderick Strong stops it. He steals the foreign object, but while he has the object, he gets double stomped. He loses, and he's very frustrated. What did you guys think about this?
Lisa, go ahead.
I watched it on and off. I think AEW started a little bit stronger, and it had my attention more watching Christian match. I'm very entertained by Grimes and his little gimmick that he has going on. He's a lot of fun. Roderick Strong feels so left out of this Undisputed Era mess that's going on. It feels like he's just waiting to see who wins and get adopted by that person. Like, I feel he should be a little more involved. He should be a little more involved in that, right? Like, he just feels like, okay, I'm just going to hang out over here and not get involved in that. But I get it. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole have a bigger story to tell. But it just feels like he just completely went away from that. And it just feels weird to me because the Undisputed Era was such a solid unit. You would think they would all be involved.
But this is proof that not just him. Who's the other member?
Bobby Fish.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Fish.
And Bobby Fish, I've seen in person. He's bigger in person than what he looks like on TV, by the way. I just, that's like, they should be doing something, even though they're scheduled for a singles match. That's not really a storyline mover, let's say. That's your chance to shine, though. That's when you should be trying to prove to the office. You don't need to be part of some clique. You don't need to be part of some group or faction, that you could stand on your own. And you're your own single star. Like that's your chance to try a pair of new trunks or a new look. Or I know you can't change it too drastically because they're still somewhat in that group, right? Technically, storyline wise. But I don't know. Like I'd be maybe wrestling different. I'd be trying to do something very different to let one writer at least back there get a glance at it and go, huh, we thought this dude was like the 4th place out of all 4 members, but maybe we should try this new character with him instead, because now you're right, Issa. I took it the same way, that he's just waiting to see who to be adopted by. That's a really good way to put it. It's funny, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they've got something planned for Roderick Strong. I think he might interfere in the main event or something like that, because we'll just get to it now. Later on in the night, Roderick Strong quits. He at least tells Mackenzie Mitchell that he's done, and he walks off. So. I hope it's not just him in black or red trunks again, and not really do like. Look what happened for Johnny Gargano. When Johnny Gargano really hit it, in my opinion, was something I didn't see coming. Is when he changed his entire no more babyface crap. I'm gonna be a heel. I'm gonna be a funny yet dicky heel, a chicken shit heel when I need to be. Like, his character's entertaining as hell. He changed it completely.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this is gonna take, because a lot of time these baby faces get labeled as vanilla, super boring, super vanilla, great in-ring technicians, no question about it. But I, as a fan, don't watch for that. I, as a fan, watch to be entertained by your character first and foremost, followed by, can you wrestle as your character in the ring, and is your character when you're wrestling different than what the other wrestlers wrestle like?
Right. And that's a beautiful example, because I used to not be into Johnny Gargano at all. And lately, after this last transformation, I'm like, okay, this dude he's kind of a jerk, and I'm always here for jerks, first of all. So, but yeah, it was as soon as he transformed, like, because he's so not to pick on size, but he's so small that he has to present himself as larger than life, and he's doing that now. Back in the day, it's like, okay, he can wrestle, but he's gonna lose. And it just felt like the same guy showing up at every takeover, putting the same match against different opponents. Mm-hmm.
Very generic, with a great moveset, but just generic looking.
Yeah.
Like, you never got my eyes like to pay too close attention to what he was doing. And he'd wrestle some crazy matches versus his old partner at these main events of some of these takeovers. But even with that, I always thought his partner was a much bigger star. Come on. Do with the beard.
This match alone between Cameron Grimes and Roderick Strong was a great contrast between the difference between a great sports entertainer and a great pro wrestler. Like, Roderick Strong is an excellent pro wrestler, and his fan base are going to be people who love wrestling, who already watch it, who are already there. But Cameron Grimes is the type of character who's going to get maybe somebody outside. He's funny. He does entertaining stuff, and at the same time, he's a great worker too.
So I'll tell you this: he's a great worker. Is correct. I remember him in the TNA cruiserweight division. He was amazing to watch, athletically speaking. But I guarantee you, if you were to ask the office which of those two talents they see as being a bigger star, I guarantee you it's Grimes, because of the character.
You can tell with all the stuff they do with him that they've got stuff invested in him. Grimes, the system. They could have done better than that, though. It could have been like
Grimes, the system's a little lazy. I don't blame him for that.
No, I'm not blaming Grimes. Yeah, I'm saying that he deserves better than something. But Karrion Kross, we get the backstage vignettes between. So they do them for both Karrion Kross and Finn Balor. So it's basically kind of MMA style, where they show Karrion Kross training. He's saying that he's training to create maximum damage, and then Scarlett speaks in, I don't know if it's tongues, but she speaks in a different language, basically saying that time is ticking, or the gimmick they have. And then we get the same kind of segment from Finn Balor training to hurt Karrion Kross. What did you guys think of these two segments?
Badass. I like that package of both Kerry and his wife. I think they're frigging just a great act. Great act.
Yeah, I love. Actually, I think NXT hit home runs tonight with their vignettes. The one that they did for Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly was amazing.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. Prime target.
Yeah. And this one with Karrion Kross and Scarlett was, I mean, come on, you can just put a camera there and they could just be standing there and they're going to come off as stars. Like, they literally don't have to do anything. So adding the training and the promos, it's just, I hope he wins.
Yeah, NXT does this better than any wrestling company, really. Anybody who does wrestling, NXT is very good at taking that MMA element and boiling down as if they're going to have a real fight. And they do it in a way that's like, he's training to create damage. So now you look at it in the vein of a pro wrestling match. Why would he be doing all this training? So it really legitimizes pro wrestling in general. So I love when they do stuff like this.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed.
We get the announcement that NXT is moving to Tuesdays. So they show the Vanity Fair article and talk about that. Then we get Santos Escobar versus Tyler Breeze. Escobar cuts a promo saying that he's caked in 100 years of tradition. He's an emperor of Lucha Libre. It looks like it's going to be his new nickname. So they have like a back and forth match because Tyler Breeze answered his open challenge. It's a pretty good match.
Yep.
Santos wins with his move, Phantom Driver. MSK chases off Legado del Fantasma. Then we get a promo from the Grizzled Young Vets saying they're going to win the tag team titles. So kind of setting up that three-way tag team match.
So can I just say everybody in this segment I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like as far as work goes, I love all of their work, and this was good. I liked watching this, but this is one I have to go back and watch again if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I really cannot wait to see these cruiserweight titles unified because it's so confusing. I think I'm looking forward to them unifying that and having one champion. I think that.
Yeah.
Santos Escobar is a star. I hope that he
wins.
Like, he comes off like a star. He cuts promos like a star. Like, I cannot wait to see what they do with him. And it was a good match overall, but this is a segment that I was probably a little more on the other channel that I was on this one, admittedly so.
Yeah, Santos is top 5 for me in terms of wrestlers right now in WWE. He's one of my favorite people to watch. He just looks like such a star. Love that.
And they gave him such a good name. Santos Escobar is such a badass name.
You guys remember Eric Escobar? He was like Ricky Guerrero's boy toy for like 2 weeks, and then he just disappeared.
Dude, he was like a top SmackDown draft pick and everything. They gave him a pretty decent push.
What a throwback. Good throwback.
It was right around the time when Drew McIntyre got that same push around that time.
Around 09. Yeah. So we get a backstage segment with Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell. They're interviewing, just saying that they're going to show everybody what real champions look like. Then we get a series. I'm just going to go through what happened with this thing. We get a series of little vignettes before they go to commercial with this little dog. Kind of looks like Issa's dog.
First of all, my dog will kick that dog's ass. Let's start there. That's a Pomeranian, and my dog is a Yorkie. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for the correction. We get a little Pomeranian who's nowhere near as tough as Issa's dog. This little Frankie dog is running around, and we don't know what this is. So throughout the show, it's just dog running around. And the payoff, it runs up to what looks like a woman in high heel boots, and it says, "See you April 13th." So any guesses as to what you think this Frankie dog is?
Oh, I know who that is. Everybody, listen, it's it's Taya, like John Morrison's wife.
Yes.
I'm a dog person. I know everybody by their dog. Even my neighbors. I don't know their name, but I know their dog's name. As soon as I saw the dog, I was like, I said they spoiled it, because if you have dog people that watch wrestling, they know whose dog that is.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Yep. The only thing they could have done to make this more obvious was by showing her earmuffs. That is the only thing that could have made more obvious about this.
Yeah, that would be like if I post that would be like if I post a trailer on my YouTube and just put Roman. Everybody's gonna be like, okay, that's Issa's dog. Like, literally.
Okay, so that'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
But
I'm excited that they're giving her vignettes.
When they showed it at first, I did not pick up on it. As soon as you said that, Issa, I swear to God, it just all came rushing in. Like, oh shit, that is her.
It was so funny because I tweeted, I was like, my dog wants to fight that little dog, and then I was like, wait, I know that little dog, and then it just took me a little while, but I knew exactly who it was. Good for her for getting hype. You know what I mean? Like, she deserves to have all the hype, and I'm glad that they starting her at NXT, let her build up her character. I'm super hyped for her.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Yeah, I was thinking about all the wrestlers who own little dogs, and I was doing the process of elimination. That's the only one that didn't come to my mind, but now that you say it, it's absolutely tired.
For 1 second, I thought it was Pancake. That's Carmella's dog, and I was like,
That's what I
Carmella
thought it
back to
was.
NXT because she has a little Pomeranian as well. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I know everybody's dogs.
Oh, that's amazing. You should have a blog about that. That should be a corner. Nobody's cornered the dog market in wrestling. That needs to be a thing. So then we get, and this is another thing I'm going to kind of run through. Io Shirai, she's in the training room. She's saying that's why I picked Raquel. This was after she got beat up last week. Okay, and then we'll get to that later. But then we get to Indy and Candice versus Gigi and Zeta Ramirez. So these are two new signees. Gigi Dolan is Priscilla Kelly, and then Zeta Ramirez.
How do I know that name? How do I know that name, Priscilla Kelly?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, she's a very controversial wrestler. She had an incident with a tampon during a wrestling match that went very viral. And
she's the one that did it?
Yes, that's her. And she's also Darby Allin's wife.
That's where I heard the name then. See that? All right. Yeah. Got it.
So Gigi Dolan. And they gave them a lot. Zeta Ramirez I believe her real name is Angela Arnold. She's from Booker T's wrestling school. So this was mostly a showcase for Indy and Candice. But they gave them something. And then Indy Hartwell gets the pin with the springboard elbow. After the match, Candice and Indy cut a promo saying they're going to win the titles. That brings out Shotzi and Ember Moon, who shoot like a Nerf ball with Shotzi's tank at the challengers. What do you guys think about this match in the segment after?
Okay, so the match was fine. Everything was fine until that last sentence you said. Coming out with the stupid tank and the stupid Nerf frigging gun. That was so lame. But the match itself was very good. Happy for the two young talents to get a chance to get on TV, be seen. Even though it was in an enhancement format, so what? You all start somewhere. I think Booker's trainee, though, is going to be good. Obviously, so is Darby Allin's wife, obviously, but Booker is a really good trainer. His school has put out some really good studs that are really well trained. And the reason I say that is because WWE will give you more of an opportunity if you come from a better. So those of you that are watching that maybe want to be a wrestler, it's important where you get trained and who you get trained by, because you'll have a bigger leg up when you do get that opportunity. WWE will give you more opportunity because they'll know who you're trained by versus being trained by Joe, the backyard dude down the street that's never made it. You know, you have a better chance to make it. So just for those, we have a lot of people that do want to make it in wrestling one day that are indie wrestlers that watch this show. So
yeah, a lot of people in the chat are loving the sling blade that AQA, which she used to be known as AQA, but Angela Arnold, aka Zeta Ramirez, delivered in this match, which is very sharp. I actually like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the match. I like the segment. I just have to give NXT a little bit of like credit because when they created these tag team titles, I was like, they're not necessarily, but you know what? They made it a point to put women's tag team wrestling on TV and put on interesting storylines and matches for it. So I have to give them props for that. Which after the Dusty Cup, we did figure it was going to get good because we saw so many good matches. But listen, they're making an effort to not make it feel like just another title.
So my damn camera, Issa, what? You don't think there was enough women though? They have so many women on that roster.
I think there was enough women. Just I didn't at first. Now I'm with it, but at first I didn't think those tag titles were necessary. I would have rather seen another single women's title like they have the North American Championship. I thought it would have been better for them. But now I like it. I like it
because you're getting four of them, 4 women guaranteed to be on, versus just another singles act or storyline, I should say, right? I mean, they're that freaking loaded though. They're that loaded with women talent that they, you know what I mean? Hell,
but I thought they should bring the main roster. Yeah, but I thought then that Nia Jax and Shayna should have lost the title to the two of them and then keep those titles in NXT instead of creating a whole new title and let Nia and especially Shayna Baszler go and be single star because I think Shayna Baszler is a single star.
But then you don't help quell the problem of having too many stud women talent on that NXT roster that you're trying to find.
Yeah, because they will have the tag titles. They would have just been the regular tag titles instead of creating another one.
So
I like that idea.
I thought that his announcement was going to be that the tag titles were just going to be NXT exclusives. Yeah. And then that way, but that would have happened only if Nia and Shayna would have dropped them to Raquel and Dakota Kai on the one match that they had. So that way you can just keep them on NXT for a while or let them defend them and keep winning and winning. They're always on NXT. So that was my point with that.
I'd like the women's tag team titles if they were based out of NXT, but not necessarily exclusive to NXT, to where that would give an excuse to bring main roster stars to NXT. I think they do a much better job booking those titles, because those titles, as much as I love Shayna and Nia, those titles are a freaking joke.
They don't even have a match for WrestleMania, and they're gonna put together some weird 4-way match between half put together teams, because it's listen, don't even get me started on that. But I'm just saying.
The women's NXT tag titles mean more than the Raw ones do.
Yeah, 1000%. They should be the only tag titles. That's the thing. But yeah, I'm glad that they're making it a point to showcase these titles on NXT, because they do have a stacked women's division, and I'm just happy, because I was like, they're just gonna create these titles out of nowhere, and what are they gonna do with them? They proved me wrong. Every week they're showcasing these women, and I'm here for it.
Because they have so many that are good.
I know.
So this next segment happened throughout the course of the show, but I'm going to tell you all the things that happened between Io Shirai and Raquel Gonzalez.
So good.
So the backstage, Raquel's getting ready for a match. She gets jumped by Io. Her and Io start fighting, and then Raquel slams her head on a trunk. So Io's hurt. Raquel goes about her business. They brawl again, because Io comes down after Raquel's match, and then Raquel slams Io's head on a plexiglass. So now Io looks like she's done for the night. Backstage, they brawl a third time. This time, Raquel Gonzalez throws Io Shirai through a wall, and she tells her to stay down. After the show, after the main event, Io hits the ring again, and she ends up diving on Raquel Gonzalez, and that's how we go off the air for later. But what did you guys think about the series of Io playing cat and mouse with Raquel?
So for purposes of Io being that underdog babyface, never staying down, I thought that was really good storytelling. Actually, I usually get pissed when I don't think people are selling enough, that there's something big that's been hit, and how they're getting up so quick. I lost this argument, and I would say around 7 years ago, give or take, is when I noticed it more and more in pro wrestling, where people are just getting up and kicking out of everybody's thing. So now that I have 7 years of being conditioned to there is no real such thing as a real finish nowadays, seriously. And now I'm aboard all these great false finishes and everyone kicking out of everybody's shit. This was good storytelling you can make the argument. Old Matt would say, holy crap, she got hit with all these big, huge moves by your biggest talent in the company. She got thrown through a literal wall. She should not get up from that. But because of where we are, today's pro wrestling landscape, which is people are of super strength and they don't really sell as much anymore, this technically was good storytelling of building throughout the entire seg there of your top baby face not staying down and continuing willing to fight, even though she's going to keep getting her ass kicked. Jeff Hardy babyface 101.
Yeah.
We
got a super chat about the tag team titles. MC Carvalho says it was confirmed by PW Insider that the women's tag titles will be defended at night 2, but night 1 will be a fatal 4-way women's contendership match. Yes.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
They're that loaded, you guys, with good talents. They're that loaded. I'm not, people would just say that to say, oh, let's get more women on the show. And it's like, no, I don't say it. I don't just say it for that reason. I say it because it's the most stacked division in Raw, SmackDown, NXT, men or women. I'm dead serious.
I agree.
Yeah. So I really like the back and forth between Io Shirai and Raquel. I really am rooting for Raquel, but it's just like,
yes, me too.
Io Shirai is such a beast. Like, she keeps proving me wrong. Every time I think she's gonna drop the title, she retains and puts on a great match. But I am 1000% here for Raquel. And their main event in night 1, I'm so glad they announced it and they let everybody know that the women are closing NXT TakeOver on night 1. And they put on the show tonight to make sure that you're invested and want to watch them. So props to them. I'm so excited for this match.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it delivered. It feels like a main event act or storyline.
Yeah,
they've done a good job.
And I love that Io just went up to Raquel and said, "I want you next." Like, that made her look so badass. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. From the beginning of this feud, it's been Io wanting to fight Raquel, and Raquel has been about it. So that when they put Raquel over, hopefully, when they put Raquel over Io, it'll be a very quality win. Not only because Io's been so dominant, but because Io is just. I mean, you saw it tonight. She's just this indestructible force who will not take no for an answer, will not stay down. So when Raquel gets her to stay down, it's going to be a big deal.
It's gonna be a be careful what you wish for kind of storyline here.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting the best EO.
Yeah, we are. Definitely.
Which is good because that's what Raquel now needs to go beat.
Raquel Gonzalez versus Zoe Stark. This is a match she was warming up for earlier. So this was the story of this match was essentially Zoe coming very close to upsetting Raquel Gonzalez. They were kind of teasing this is going to be the upset of the century. Or they're going to shock the world or whatnot. But Raquel eventually counters a bulldog attempt with her chokes bomb and wins. This is where EO came out afterwards. But Raquel Gonzalez beat Zoe Stark.
It's her time. Raquel's
do you have the time on that of how long it took?
The match?
Yeah, by any chance?
I would say it was like 5 minutes, not longer than 5 minutes, maybe 5 or 6 minutes.
So again, we just got done talking about this indestructible force. She's the giant, if you will, of the women's division, right? She is. Why in the hell is she? She just shouldn't be selling for anybody until this main event match at Takeover. There's no reason for her to give anybody any offense right now, unless it's EO doing stuff to build the match, obviously. But that's
I love that you brought that up because I kept going back to that last woman standing match I think she had against Rhea Ripley, and she ended up winning, and she went through everything, and she just kept like no selling everything that Rhea threw at her. Why are you selling for this little girl? Like no offense, but I didn't like it. But listen, it's okay. It wasn't about them. It was about EO coming out and continuing that story, so I can look past it. But I didn't like it. I agree with Matt. She shouldn't be selling for anybody.
Yeah. We get backstage with Pete Dunne. So now he's talking to Kushida about how he's the best wrestler in the world, and he's going to prove it.
He is.
Then we get a backstage promo. This is what we were alluding to earlier in the show between Cole and O'Reilly. So they just tell this story about their friendship. I mean, they do a deep dive where they just go back to how they met, Undisputed Era. They're each kind of interviewing from what kind of looks like an interrogation room type style setting. They're just kind of in a dark, desolate room, and they're just telling their stories. And they did everything they could to get you excited for this match, and I think they knocked it out of the park, man.
Issa, what you were saying about this earlier? You love this, right?
I love this backstage segment. It was like a vignette. It was pre-made. I love seeing their story because they've been so involved in the Undisputed Era. Sometimes you forget these two guys go way back, and it was amazing to just see how involved they've been in each other's careers and how they go hand in hand together. It's what makes you so invested into this feud. It was very well done, very well edited. The whole like interrogation room setting, like you said, I really appreciated that, and I appreciated their promo last week. I am so excited for their match. I cannot repeat that enough. I think it's probably the most invested we are all in going into TakeOver next week.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of this at first, not because both talents aren't amazing. They are. I just will always see one of them way more over than the other.
Right.
So I'm kind of constantly trying to watch this to see. I'm not trying to bury either talent, so I'm not saying which one. You guys can draw the conclusion. But
let me guess.
I feel bad because I like both guys. You know what I mean? I feel bad about it. Because he's trying his ass off. He's never been really put in a storyline situation to shine by himself. To be fair, yet either. I just hope he gets there. He's got to turn it up a little bit. In this thing, even though he didn't have to turn it up because this was a completely different seg what they ran with him, it still did its job. It made me care a lot more about him in this particular storyline. God dang it, they built Homeboy up so big though that I just don't see how maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm proven wrong. Maybe he does lose. I don't know.
There could be some kind of involvement. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I don't see. I know where you're going with that because I don't see it happening either. We'll see.
Right? I don't.
Yeah.
But they did a very good job. So I got to stop and smell the roses and give them credit for tonight. Tonight's was good. Yes.
They absolutely did. Steven Marchusili asks, who would you want to see Scarlett work a match with?
Ooh.
Oh my God. I just forgot her name. The girl at the end that blows the smoke and is kind of fancy and kind of like, what's her name? Yes, her. Because they're both so mysterious and into weird things. I think it will be a fun match.
I'll take that. Yeah, because of the spookies, whatever gimmick, sci-fi, weird stuff that they both do. Yes.
You wouldn't be excited for Scarlett versus Alexa Bliss? What about that?
Sure. Oh, you mean zombie?
What are they gonna do? Swing in the fucking sorry? They're gonna sit on the playground and swing, and whoever can go the highest wins.
Whoever goes highest, you get Randy Orton to push Alexa Bliss, and who knows?
Here's the thing, though, about Scarlett. Scarlett's character is so intertwined in God, why am I brain farting so much? Karrion Kross. Like her facials, her body language, it's all, if you watch it, she adds so much more than just the garnish.
Yeah.
To the steak, as it were, right? She adds way more than that. She's constantly, if you watch her in those promos, she's walking around. Her facials are right at the right time. She adds so much sting to his bite, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that would look like if she starts then wrestling. My question to you is, what would you think if Paul Bearer started wrestling? Do you know what I mean? Like he added so much to Taker in his promos and his segments, and especially the majority of the talking for him. But he was such a part of that character. Like they were kind of intertwined as one. So like you said earlier, you said, like, I don't see Karrion Kross as the singles guy by himself, and what I see him as this package with her, like the 2-for-1 kind of thing,
Yeah,
so
I
don't
love
know
that
what
you brought that up too, because I didn't think he needed her in the beginning because of his looks, right? He's so big and he's so strong. I was like, why do they have her with her? And the more that I started watching NXT and appreciating everything that she's adding to him, now I cannot see him without her. So at first it took a while to convince me, and then I was like, oh my God, this girl is like 75% of this spectacle. Like we cannot put her away from it.
She is
a huge part of that act. Like I couldn't imagine that act, what it would be without Scarlett. Like if she got hurt and she had to go away, he'd have to go away too, to me. As talented as he is.
The dopest entrance there is in wrestling. It's not even debatable. They have the coolest entrance.
So Justin Lopez brings up the Andrade interview from this past week. They got people talking. He says Andrade in an interview said he was never meant to win the NXT title. They thought Drew looked too tall next to Cole and went with Andrade instead.
Wait, slow down here. Andrade is in an interview and said he was never meant to win the NXT title. They thought Drew looked too tall next to Adam Cole.
Adam Cole, yes.
Huh. So they weren't ready for Drew. That means they weren't ready for Drew yet.
Yeah,
because they usually don't care about protecting. That's good though, that they actually had the thought process to protect Adam Cole's height, because that's something I've spoken on before. If they do call him up to Raw and SmackDown, please don't be putting him in the ring with guys and talents that tower over him.
That's my fear for him. That is my biggest fear for him going to the main roster, is who you put him against could really kill him.
Issa, he's worth it to book around that. He is that damn good. Like I would not let him near anybody tall. There's many other people you can book him with that he could carry out his segment of the show and steal parts of the show and do his thing on that main roster. Just keep him away from super duper tall people. Seriously. Agreed.
And there's enough wrestlers his size on the main roster that he can put some amazing matches against.
Right?
That's not needed. Andrade has been doing a lot of interviews, and then the other day he said he will want to have a Drew McIntyre style story to where he comes back and gets to where he wanted to get to. And listen, good for you, but then you need to stop talking crap about the company if your hope is to come back and make it, because he's talking a little too much right now. Like, I hate when people do that. These tell-alls after they leave WWE, I just don't like them. I don't think it's not classy. I don't like it.
It's so hard not to. As a guy where it happened to me, it's so hard not to.
Right.
Especially when, like for me, I had the last appearance I made on WWE was as my stuttering version at the time. So you want to immediately tell everybody, like, hello, first and foremost, I don't stutter. And you want to, get away from that as much as possible. And so they kept asking over and over and over again, what the hell were they thinking? Why would Vince McMahon tell you to stutter? That makes no sense. And so you're like, what do you want me to tell you? Like being interviewed. I'm like, well, what do you want me to say? I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You want me to bury them here? There's no real reason to. I got to live out my childhood dream. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this right now. But
I get it, because a lot of people Yeah, a lot of people will want to know, but what happened and why didn't you say anything? Like, it's that easy. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
What's been tough about this interview is that, like, it was an all Spanish language interview, which people have been translating it incorrectly when it gets back to the United States. Like, people are saying all kinds of things. They had to come out, and Charlotte had to issue a statement like, "No, I'm not pregnant, everybody. I'm not pregnant." There's all kinds of things that they had to that slip through the cracks. So if you wanted to do a tell-all, I'm not saying do it in another language, but there needs to be more foundation in pro wrestling where people can correctly translate it so that it can not be lost.
It was translated horribly in a couple of websites, and I watched it in Spanish because it was with my dude Hugo. He's the announcer in Puerto Rico. I actually love that guy, and I was like, that's not what he said. But there's a bad tendency to horribly translate this. They use Google Translate.
I was just gonna say it's the easiest language to translate for us by now. I would hope. Good Lord, we all learn Spanish. What in the hell? Like, can the companies be held accountable for that? Yeah. For messing it up so bad like that and saying, that somebody got pregnant when they really didn't?
Yeah.
They should be.
That's
I'm certified by the state to translate. So any wrestling websites that want to pay me, I will gladly translate it the right way.
Get on this wrestling chat room. Get on those websites and tell these people.
For real. Actually, the other day it was so funny because even on Raw, Damian Priest did not translate what Bad Bunny said. What Damian Priest said was not what Bad Bunny said. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
Did he censor him or did he just miss what he said?
He missed it completely. But what Bad Bunny said to The Miz in Spanish was, "I'm going to break your face, you dumbass." And Damian Priest said that he was going to make him his B at WrestleMania. Okay. Like, that is completely different. Yeah.
It is.
All right, well, we get back to the show with Tian Sha. That's the team of Xia Li, Boa, and Mei Ying versus Casey Canzero and Caden Carter. So this essentially was like a 2-on-1 match because Mei Ying just remained in her throne until Caden Carter went to... What?
Well, a legit queen. She just sat there on her throne. I loved it.
I don't see Charlotte with a throne. We saw Caden Carter go to confront Mei Ying, and Mei Ying strangled Caden Carter and blew smoke in her face, made her pass out. Meanwhile, in the ring, Xia hits a spinning kick and wins the match. What do you guys think?
Super intrigued by that character now. Very intrigued by it. Yeah. I love that babyface tag team, though. I love Caden. I love Caden Carter. I think she's very, very. I don't know what they're missing with her. Maybe she's the next in line. I don't know, but I have to hope they know she's a potential big. I think she could be a big star. Yeah, she makes you feel bad for her all the time. She's great at getting sympathy. Mm-hmm. She's got a completely different look. She's athletic as hell. It's another example of this damn division is so freaking
so good,
so stacked. Yes.
Yeah, I like the segment. I love the ending of the segment. So intrigued by her. So intrigued by this character and cannot wait to see what else.
Oh my God, yes, right? Yeah.
It was intense. I loved it too. I was like, oh my God.
She's like,
I used to make fun of this all the time. I used to make fun of it.
Yeah.
And to Matt's point earlier, can you imagine if this is her debut, she stands on the apron and she goes 50-50 with these women or get tasked to sell for anybody? She's just being promoted as a monster, and I love it.
I do too.
So... we get so then we get more dog segments, but we went to a promo from Tommaso Ciampa, which I thought was incredible, but I have an issue with this promo. He cuts this long promo about the necklace he was wearing last week that got torn off and how it's a present from his wife and daughter. So he's pissed off that it got torn off. And then he cuts a promo about how he's going to win the NXT title. We could have used this promo before he got it taken off because I didn't know what the hell this necklace meant. Like, they made a big deal when they took it off last week with Walter, but I didn't know what the significance was, and now we're learning. I honestly made it up in my mind that it was Timothy Thatcher's tooth. I thought that's because it was just this like kind of shell that he had on his necklace, but he explained what it was now. I love the promo, but I could have used it before it got ripped off his chest.
1000% agree with everything you just said, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm excited for it, but it just feels like I know they're going to put on a good match, but it just feels so predictable, the outcome here.
Yeah.
So Walter's a badass. I love Walter.
Yeah, he's going to kick his ass. You know it.
I'm very much looking forward to this. It's going to be, these guys are going to be sore after this match.
Yeah, for sure.
Whoops.
You good?
Yep.
We go to our main event. It's the Gauntlet Eliminator Battle Royal. This is kind of funny because at the beginning of Wade Barrett's like, it's very simple. And then they have all these words on the screen. It's like 2 pages of a PowerPoint of all the things that have to
I still don't know the rules to this match, by the way. I'm still confused.
Very confusing. But to their credit, as the match is going on, they did a good job explaining what everything meant. So it was very easy to follow wrestling-wise. Basically, so things to know that at the beginning, Swerve Scott got jumped by Leon Ruff. Austin Theory seemed to eliminate himself. I don't know what happened here. Kushida, Pete Dunne got in like an armbar struggle, and they eliminated each other before the final 6. So they are not in the final 6. The final 6 will be Leon Ruff, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Loomis, and the winner, Matt's guy, LA Knight. What did you think about LA Knight winning this battle royal?
God, he
should have won the battle royal, right? Like I can't remember if he lost recently. Didn't he lose a match recently?
Yes.
Yeah, which pissed me off because it's like you're bringing this guy and making him such a big deal, and then you make him lose. I'm glad that he won tonight, especially against that many people. Makes him look, a little bit better. I'm excited for this match at TakeOver.
What I said, the only out I will give NXT for booking him to lose that match versus Bronson Reed, he being LA Knight, was that if this was like a ego test. They used to do it back when I was there. I don't know if that's something they still do today, where they check your ego really quickly to see if you think you're captain over, if you think you're too cool for school, if you think you're too good to do jobs because you were a big fish in a small pond somewhere else.
Right.
That was like tests you have to go through them and pass them. So I don't know. Maybe they still do that to this day, and I just don't know it. And maybe that's what that was with that, because otherwise I don't get how he loses that to Bronson Reed and then wins this battle royal this week. I'm just happy as hell he won it, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They made him he is a big deal, and he looks like $1 million. And I didn't like that he lost, but I feel like tonight kind of make up a little bit for it. I like your explanation, Matt, and you don't think about the inners of things or why they could be doing that. I don't think about it that way. So maybe that's what it was, and I hope that from here on now they continue to book him, better. Because he looked good tonight. He did.
I will say, I think this kind of sets up. I don't think we're seeing him win that gauntlet match now. I mean, just based on the 50-50 formula WWE adheres by, I think they gave him his shine now. I don't see him and Gargano going one-on-one on night 2 because A, they're both heels, and B, I think they're going to see that he won that match so they can beat him again.
At the same time, you can book him in the gauntlet to where he goes through 5 people, and that's the reason why he loses. And now you build him up in a way, because if you don't plan on him winning over Gargano, then don't put him against Gargano. Right. But you can still give him a good showing at the gauntlet match, and I think that's what they'll do.
Yeah, 100%. And that gets people over. That's like the number one way people get over these days.
A gauntlet match.
Over. That's how they got Shinsuke over for a while. Is you win against Seth Rollins.
Oh my God, Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
Kofi Mania started because of a gauntlet match.
You guys, great 2 calls, great back-to-back calls with. I forgot though, Rollins and Kofi.
Seth went over an hour on Monday Night Raw before he lost. Yeah,
huge deal. Seth Rollins was over an hour, right? Wasn't that forever? Mm-hmm. That's right. That did get them both super over. You guys are right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kofi Mania started because of that gauntlet match. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget anything about that run, first of all. But I remember how it started. I'll never forget that. So you can give him an amazing show to the point that he just can no longer go, and that's how he loses. And he goes into NXT starting on Tuesdays as the guy that gets a standing ovation. So let's see if that's what happens. But he looked good tonight, and I'm happy.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's your NXT. First, what did you guys think of the show on a scale of 1 to 10, and who had the better show between NXT and AEW? We'll start with you, Matt.
AEW by a slight edge. Not the normal 1 to 1.5 difference I usually give them. Like 0.3, 0.5 better. So if I gave, AEW 7.5, I would give NXT, I'll give them a 7.
Good score.
I'm going to give NXT an 8 just because of what they do with the women and how they showcase them. And of course, I'm fully biased when it comes to that. I do think that AEW is putting more effort into their women's division. I do. And I thought that Taya Kanti looked amazing tonight. I hated that she lost. But I do think that I felt the shows were so even that I really just wanted to split my screen and go between the two at some point because they felt very even. But a TakeOver Go Home show, I'm just always here for those. So I just thought it was slightly better.
Issa, how do you watch the shows? Like, how do you watch?
I go back
watch
and
them on
forth.
your
I
phone?
go back and forth.
Yeah.
So depending on what I feel at that moment is the better segment, that's what will keep
Duh.
my attention. And then once it goes away, I'll change it again. So yeah,
You know something? That's how we used to watch the Monday Night Wars back in the day.
yeah, yeah.
I
So
was lucky
I'm
enough to
a
be on the.
fan. I'm a fan of the Tuesday night, so I can stop doing this to my brain
Yeah,
because
I
it gives
cannot
me
wait
a
for.
headache.
Yeah. I
Amen.
thought both shows were good. I thought NXT was better. And I'm also grading it on the basis of a go home show. They just did everything they needed to do to get you, to get you excited for the matches that they're going to have, especially the bigger matches. I love how they went off the air with Io and Raquel, and they were telling that story that was a long thread. They had the thing with the dog that was very intriguing. There was a lot of cool stuff on this show that kind of kept you wanting to watch it, and I liked it a lot.
My dog's coming for that dog.
Yeah, let's build a feud between those two dogs.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
I'm gonna Twitter build a feud between them.
What's your dog's name?
Roman.
Roman versus Frankie. Oh, I can see that on a poster. Okay, Roman versus Frankie. We'll get it. All right. Well, before we get off the air, do you guys have anything to promote? Matt, I know you're always humble about this.
Just nothing. No. Oh yes, if you guys live in Central Florida on April 10th, Old Man Morgan's coming out of retirement for one more match.
I wish I could see that.
For a fundraiser that I'm doing to raise money for this all new Hope and Healing Center we have for opioid addicts in our county. It's the first of its kind in the country, quite frankly. It's a very big deal. I helped play a small part in help getting this center put up to begin with as part of our Seminole County Opioid Council that I sit on. It's a really big deal. I'm a 14-year recovered opioid addict myself. I'm overdosed 7 times. I'm lucky to even sincerely be here to be raising money for others that have the same story to tell that I do. The difference is I was very fortunate to be able to get the help that I needed. I had enough money to be able to afford it. And I didn't go to a plush, nice place either. I went to a place that I needed to go to scare the bejesus out of me and get me clean and give me a structured environment that I needed to get rid of people, places, and things so I could stay clean, right? But it still cost an arm and a leg to do it, even with insurance. Like, it was ridiculous. And I remember when I left going, like, I'm dead serious, you guys. I wanted to cry for my roommate and a couple others in there that I knew did not have the funds to be able to maintain their outpatient treatment that they're going to need to stay clean. And how many of them are now going to go die? And I don't blame that on anybody. Obviously, it's our addictive brain and how it works. We're all responsible for our own addiction. But with that said, if you have an opportunity to help people that are struggling with addiction, you do it. And so I was able to turn my life around. I was able to go back to pro wrestling, actually. That's when I started with TNA. That was my first run in pro wrestling, completely sober and clean from drugs. Became an American Gladiator, went on to be a father to a beautiful little 7-year-old nonverbal autistic son that really needs his dad in life. A present father, and then the mayor of a city, for crying out loud. That's just my tiny myopic example. There's millions out there that could do the way more with their second chance in life if we're able to help give it to them. So if you live in Central Florida, please check out SeminoleShowdown.com, SeminoleShowdown.com, where you can purchase your ticket. They're selling quickly. I'm not just saying as a gimmick. They really are selling quickly. So if you guys see this tonight, please get on that website. And if you don't live here in Central Florida, but you want to contribute to our fundraiser, all right, you don't have to come to the show either. You can watch it. It'll be live streamed on Facebook, on Seminole Showdown Facebook page, I think. But more importantly, you could contribute. You can donate to the cause. And this will be taking care of 15 opioid addicts from here in Seminole County that really need our help right now. So, again, guys, you know how passionate I am about this. So if you can contribute, please go to SeminoleShowdown.com and $1, $2, $3, anything you can give, please. Thank you, guys.
Hell yeah. That's great.
Respect.
Thanks for reminding me. I would have walked
Respect.
all over that and just said, hurry up and end the show. So thank you for letting me do that.
In the chat, just loving this. A lot of great feedback. People having Matt in their lives count their blessings for having an inspiring story, a battle, and now recovery. And now with the life you live in family politics and helping community, class act all day. So great job, Matt.
Thanks, Brian.
What do you got?
I'm going to be watching that match. I'm going to donate and I'm going to tune into the live stream. I really want to see it.
For sure.
For me, please follow my new Twitter account. I am still trying to appeal. My old Twitter account got suspended over a copyright strike. So I had to start a new one because Twitter, they told me it can take months to get my old account back. However, my YouTube channel, I am so close to 10,000 subscribers. So if you guys could find me on YouTube, it's an NYC Demon Diva, and subscribe. I have a very special video breaking down Lucha Libre in Puerto Rico that I will release once I hit 10,000 subscribers. I'm a couple of hundreds away, so I'm excited.
Love it. And I'm a subscriber too. It's a great channel.
10,000 subscribers. That's really good, Isa. Even I know that. That's very good.
Thank you. I've been putting in some work in there lately, so
that's awesome. Well, follow me on Twitter at This Is Nasty. Meet me on Forbes, YouTube Pro Wrestling Bit. I don't have 10,000 subscribers yet, but maybe in 10,000 years I'll have 10,000 subscribers. So we'll get there. You guys have been great as always. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys soon.
bye.